that off 10 minutes of my speech.
If I could have everybody's attention, please, we'll get started. It is my great privilege and honor tonight to introduce to you a man that is a great advocate for rural water, a great advocate for rural America, a man of great character, a man whose heart is full of humility, a man whose leadership is easy to follow. It's my pleasure to introduce to you tonight the President of National Rural Water, Mr. Doug Anderton, from the great state of Georgia.
Thank you, Steve. And good afternoon, rural America. It's my pleasure now to introduce the head table. To my left and your right, the end of the table, Mr. John O'Connell, Executive Board at Large, and his lovely wife, Jackie. Next to him is David Baird from the great state of Delaware and our treasurer. Steve Fletcher from the great state of Illinois, our vice president, and his lovely wife, Jane. Charles Hilton from the great state of South Carolina, our executive vice president, and his lovely wife, Bobby. To my far right, your left, our CEO, Mr. Sam Wade, and his lovely wife, Mary Ann. Next to them, Kent Watson from the great state of Texas, our Executive Board at Large, and his lovely wife, Shari. Secretary to the Board, Mr. Steve Ware, and his lovely wife, Connie, from the great state of Arkansas. And this lovely lady next to me, to my right, who some say will be a crowning glory waiting on her for putting up with me, Miss Janice. My comments tonight will be brief, as the man of the hour is sitting to my left. But I have to say that during my last 2 years, as I've traveled around this great nation, and as most of you know that I've been there, what I usually talk about is rural America and rural communities. It's been a great pleasure and a blessing for me to visit you in your home states. I am a rural American, and I live in rural America. At least I thought so until I visited my good friend John O'Connell's state up in New York earlier this year. I don't know, for some reason or other, when I think of New York, I guess I think of New York City. But I flew into Syracuse and drove up to their convention. And I met one of the husbands of one of their, I think, past board members, Florence. His name was Don Bronasis, and if I misspelled that, maybe he's not here or mispronounced it. And Don and I got to talking about, we both like to ride a Harley Davidson, and he lives up in the Adirondack Mountains, and so we, as our conversation progressed, he finally, and we worked up a plan where I could come up later and we could go riding. But he told me, he said, well, Doug, I ride my Harley at least 120 miles a week. And so, you know, I was thinking, well, what's the significance of this 120 miles a week? And finally I said, well, how come you ride it 120 miles a week? And he said, well, it's 60 miles to Walmart. And I thought, you know what? That is rural America. And if you're east of the Mississippi River and you got to drive 60 miles to Walmart, you're in rural America. So And it truly was. Great conference, and I had a great time. So I want to thank each of you for the hospitality that you have shown me when I've been in your state over this past 2 years. But isn't that what rural water people do? And I want to thank my executive directors for the help and advice that y'all all have given me this past 2 years. But more importantly, I want to thank you for your friendship. And my fellow board members, thank you so much for giving me this unique opportunity to lead this great association for the last 2 years. And during the last 2 years of that leadership, I am blessed to have had the opportunity to have served 1 year of my presidency with Rob Johnson and our DE's long-term staff member, John Montgomery, who both served 35 plus years and helped build this association into what we know it as today. And I'm equally blessed to have served a year with my friends, Sam Wade and Matt Holmes, who is going to lead us into the future. My thanks also go out to the entire Duncan and DC staff for your help and your friendship to me. I think you're the best. You have supported me all the way, and I appreciate it more than you will ever know. This has been one of the greatest experiences of my life. And I thank each and every one of you for that. And I wish you safe travels home from this conference. Thank you. And now, the best part of my role here tonight is to introduce to you and ask him to come forward, the next president for the next 2 years of the National Rural Water Association, my friend, Mr. Charles Hilton. And at this time, I would like to present Charles. But, you know, y'all remember the gavel they gave me? That thing was as big as a sledgehammer. I would like to present to Charles this gavel plaque. It says to Charles Hilton, inauguration as NRWA president, October the 8th, 2014. And what I would say to Charles is, Charles, if you have half as much fun and enjoy the next 2 years, half as much as I've enjoyed the last 2, you're in for a great treat. Thank you, brother. And now that Charles has taken the gavel and is our current president of NRWA, I'd like to present Charles with the NRWA ring, who's worn by the president and by the past presidents. Charles, the ring of NRWA, wear it proudly.
Thank you.
And has been a tradition at NRWA, the staff usually gets the incoming president a gift. And so, Charles, I understand it was too heavy to bring up here, so you and I are going to walk over to the end of the stage to get your gift. And I see, is our mic live? Now it is. Before I lift this, since I already know what's under there, Charles lives in Aiken, Graniteville, South Carolina, which is just across the line from Augusta, Georgia, home of Fort Gordon. My son-in-law and daughter lived in Fort Gordon when my first grandson was born. He was small, and we used to, every time we go to visit the daughter, we would actually cross the line. It's less than 15 miles to Charles's farm, because my little grandson left to go play on Charles's tractors. And Charles has got a lot of tractors and bulldozers and milk trucks. And I'm telling you, that's a kid's playground. So Charles, and on behalf of the staff, we present you with another John Deere tractor. And for the time that Charles is going to have to run a tractor in the next 2 years, this one will be about the right size.
Thank you, President Anderson. You know, Doug, it seems like it was yesterday when you started this journey over the last 2 years. And in that 2 years, Doug and I have traveled many miles together. And I know Doug's passion for National Rural Water. I know his passion for representing you wherever he goes. And Doug, I want to say thank you personally for your friendship, for your work on behalf of National Rural Water, and all that you've given of your life that this association may continue on. Thank you, President Anderson. And to each of you that are a member of Rural Water, my message to you has been just to say thank you wherever I've been as a representative of this board of directors. I look on this crowd and I see operators, I see managers, I see board members. And the more that I've been involved in this, the more I realize that you are the unsung heroes of America. Nothing happens back home without you. And because you do your job so well, and you do it every day, 24/7, every week, every year, you're the unsung heroes. Economic growth does not come, your community cannot live without what you do each day. So I salute each one of you and say thank you for what you do for rural America and for your towns and townships and communities back home. As I look back over the last few years, I cannot help but to be humbled by the ones that have helped me pursue a dream. I go back to my early days with South Carolina Rural Water Association, and I look back for the opportunity that they gave me to serve them. And then for some strange reason, they elected me to the national board. And they did it multiple times. They didn't do it just once. So they kept giving me the opportunity to move forward. So thank you, South Carolina Rural Water. Thank you for your friendship, and thank you for all you've done to make this night possible for me. My own employer. My own employer last week when I was there told me I could do this once again. My water system, Breeza Hill Water, that board of directors has supported this for many years. I've been away from that office more hours than I know, more days on the road. And they have blessed me by allowing me to serve others. And as I told you last night at the reception, there's a man that's been responsible, that is the unsung hero behind all of this, and that's my assistant, Jeff Lowe, and I want you to stand up again tonight. This man runs Breeza Hill Water. And if it were not for this man and his integrity and his confidence and me knowing that he has my back, I could not be here tonight. And finally, to my wife, Bobby, I've been gone a lot. If y'all will remember when we were at the rally and I was laying in the bed at the Hyatt, it was nice and warm and we had food. She was back home in 10-degree weather and an ice storm with no power for 5 days. I do farm. somebody has to feed cows every day, and it wasn't me. And so she's supported me and she's encouraged me even when I got discouraged. And she said, keep on going and pursue your dream. So thank you for all of these years. There's one other member of my family that's not here tonight. Many of you know her because she's grown up in the rural water family, and that's my daughter, Rachel. Rachel's not mad at me tonight, and that's not the reason she's not here, but many of you know why she's not here. I'm going to leave tonight as soon as this thing is over, as soon as I can get out of here and take a red eye back home, because I've got to be at her rehearsal dinner on Friday, and I'm going to be at her wedding on Saturday. So it's kind of an emotional week. It's been an emotional week. And thank you for some of you who have broken the tension. And in spite of the rumor around here, John O'Connell is not my future son-in-law. John, I love you for what you've done this week in breaking some of the concerns that I've had this week. I want to spend just a few minutes, because I can only spend a few minutes. I was told a microphone would be cut off after 5 minutes. So I'm going to spend just a minute talking about some of the challenges that we face, and we face these together. This organization is so strong because we're a grassroots movement. What is that? That means people back home in the community get involved and get something done in this country. It's not this board of directors, it's not all the staff, it's you back home. Rural America has always stood up and stood strong in anything this country has ever needed. But you know, the concerns that I have is that the voice of rural America is not as strong as it used to be. There's declining population in rural America. Secretary Vilsack of USDA said in December of 2012, rural America is becoming less and less relevant. What did he mean? We feed America, we provide most of the military, we provide most of the good things about this country. So what did he mean? It means as more and more of the population shifts to the suburbs and the exurbs around our towns, that there's less and less of us that are speaking up. And folks, that's a concern of mine, because I do live in rural America. And it's only through us working together that we can change that, and we can make sure that the needs of our great country and rural America are met now and in the future. It is our responsibility, not only as citizens of the day, but for our children and for our grandchildren. But you know, every time that we've had a challenge in this association, I've seen us stand up and meet that challenge. And I have no doubt in my mind that we will not continue to do that. We have great people working for us in Washington, D.C. And I think Fitz and Bill and Mike will tell each one of us the base of all of their work is upon the grassroots effort back home. We thank you for what you do, but I thank you most of all for talking to your people. We have great friends in Washington, D.C. You know, I tell people that when I watch the news, and I seldom watch the news anymore, I always want to go jump off of a cliff somewhere after I watch it for a few minutes. But you know, then I go to the state association meetings, and I met many of you. And there's hope instilled in me again, because there are a lot of good Americans left. And I thank you for that. We have friends in D.C. with the USDA. You've seen Jackie and Secretary Doug O'Brien this week here, and Ken Evans and many of her staff. And they have worked diligently for this organization in support of us. And believe it or not, I truly believe we have a friend at EPA, Dr. Peter Gravatt, who's been in office probably for a year or maybe a year and a half. I've met him all over this country. He's been in rural America. He's been in water systems in Oklahoma to learn more about us. He is concerned about the future of us in these small communities. And it's been such a blessing to have people like that stand up for us. We're facing great challenges for our utilities now. There's more and more demand being placed upon us. We have aging infrastructure and we have shrinking dollars. The American Society of Civil Engineers gives the water and sewer industry a D in this country. We have a long way to go. I'm concerned that as I look across this crowd, I see a lot of people my age, and I don't see enough young people. We've got to encourage these young people to get involved in this industry. The problems we face today are not insurmountable. I believe that with us working together, as we have done in the past, all of these problems and needs will be met. So I challenge you tonight to go home, go back to your water system, go back to the sewer plant, and do your job the same way you've been doing it for so many years. But if you haven't been involved in the process, I challenge you to do that too. Talk to your state rural water association folks. They'll tell you how to get involved in the legislative process and the political process, because all of that makes us what we are today. And there's another group of people that are the unsung heroes of this organization, and that's the staff of National Rural Water and the staff of the 49 state associations that we have. It seems that they are in all of these places to make us as board members look good, but it's truly them that do all of the work. And so I want to say thank you tonight for the National Rural Water staff and all of the State Rural Water Association folks that we have here tonight. Let's give them a round of applause. And I was reminded tonight when I asked how long was I supposed to speak, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, that someone told me the microphone would be turned off in 5 minutes, and so I know who was really in charge. So as we leave tonight, I pray God's blessings upon each one of you. I pray that you might have safe travels back home, and I pray God's blessing upon the United States of America. Thank you tonight for the honor you bestowed me.